Welcome everyone to Cancer Convos with Grace B. This is your host, Grace B, coming to you from New York City, the city that never sleeps and is home to Cancer Convos with Grace B. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for, being a part of the show and supporting us on our Facebook, on our Instagram and YouTube channels. For the newbies, this show seeks to demystify the cancer disease by bringing on experts and stakeholders in the cancer space. So in today's episode, I will be discussing a very, very important topic, which has to do not just with cancer, with everybody. And this has to do with infertility. The inability to have children is called infertility, as you all know. And some cancer treatments make it very impossible to bear children because of the harsh toxic treatments. So my guest has struggled with infertility and also with cancer. She's one amazing woman you guys would love to meet in 5 minutes. So she has struggled with both issues. She is a #1 best-selling author. She's an infertility advocate. She's also a wellness coach. Anyway, she'll be telling you all these things herself. So without much ado, I'll be welcoming Cathy McKinnon to the show. Welcome, Cathy, and so good to see you today. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me and allowing me to share my story in this space and for that incredible introduction.
Oh, bless.
It's always, when we see it ourselves and we live it ourselves, it's so different when we hear it, people say it. But it has been quite the journey. And, I will talk about further through it in the interview, but it's really propelled me to the space that I'm in to help others. And so it's been amazing to get to this point.
I'm so glad to have met you. Thank you so much. So let's start with the show. Tell us a bit about yourself and, introduce yourself, your name, where you come from and everything. Just in brief, please.
Sure. So my name is Cathy McKinnon. I'm a transformation coach that works with women on helping them both on the wellness as well as life coaching aspect of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
I'm based here just north of Chicago. And first and foremost, I'm a mommy. I have my 8-year-old son, and that is my #1 role.
Fantastic. So good to hear that. And how is he doing? Is it male, female?
Yeah, my son, he's doing great. He's loving school. He's an athlete. He loves baseball. And so we get to have all these fun experiences together.
Awesome. That's great. So, Cathy, tell me, why do you think it's important to share your story?
I think it's so important to share my story. And for years, I didn't share my story. So I should start off there. For years, I did not tell anybody my story. Even some close family members and friends didn't know my story. But through my healing, I realized that it's important for me to share my story because I don't want others to feel alone like I did in my journey. I want others to go through life thinking that they don't have the ability to advocate for their own health, go through life, not asking the questions and realizing that they truly have to be intentional with their health and their life, for their longevity.
Absolutely. And walk us through your journey with cancer, actually. You know what this show entails and what it's all about. And that's why I said you really have something to put out there for the audience to really, extract. Walk us down your experience with cancer, please.
Yeah, so my experience with cancer was something that I never saw coming. I don't think any of us really see it coming. But sometimes if there's family histories or genetics, we kind of feel like we're predisposed to it, like maybe it could happen.
Yeah.
But in my case, I was totally caught off guard. I went to a doctor for a fertility workup. I didn't have any symptoms, no blood work indicated anything. And in that fertility workup, the doctor actually felt a tumor on my neck. And so I completely disregarded it. I was not even 30 years old at that point. I didn't fit any demographics, no family history. I honestly wanted to just kind of blow it off. Mm-hmm. But I did go through with the biopsy, and the biopsy indicated that it was positive for papillary thyroid cancer.
Wow.
That just shattered my world, because now I was going through two major life events, infertility and cancer, simultaneously. And I had no mechanism to understand to even, how do you even begin to deal with that, wrap your head around that and move forward. And I remember when my doctor delivered the news that my biopsy was positive for cancer, I remember looking him straight in the eyes and saying that he needed to come up with the best care plan that he could, because I wasn't done yet. I wasn't done fighting for my baby. I wasn't done fighting for life. I wasn't done experiencing life.
Right. So your diagnosis came after or before? Because when you said I was not done with my baby, were you pregnant at the time?
No, I was still attempting to get pregnant. So my infertility journey was 5 years long, and cancer came in the middle of it.
Okay.
And so I felt like it was just another kind of blow to the gut, that in addition to still not having my baby,
Mm-hmm.
now I have cancer.
Yes, yes. Oh my God, that must have been crazy. I can't understand that. What types of treatments are given to those who are diagnosed with cancer, with thyroid cancer? Is it still the usual chemo? Did you have to have an operation, chemotherapy? What is it about with thyroid cancer?
Yeah, I mean, it differs so much, of course, as with anything, on the stage and the type of thyroid cancer. And
Mm-hmm.
I was diagnosed in 2008. And so, of course, science and technology has advanced so much to today. However, when I was diagnosed, I had a complete thyroid removal. So they took my entire thyroid out. And so that was an adjustment in and of itself, because the thyroid controls so much of our body,
Mm-hmm.
our metabolism, our energy. And so after my surgery, I had about approximately a month later, I went through radiation treatment called radioactive iodine, where you basically drink radiation and then you have to sit in isolation for 3 to 5 days to make sure that it is all out of your body and you don't kind of give it to anybody else. So that was, in addition to not feeling well, of course, because nobody feels well when you ingest radiation, it was very isolating, because I had to be away from everybody and everything, because I didn't want others to be exposed to the radiation.
Sure, absolutely. So the isolation took place at home?
It did, yes.
How did you kind of readapt that the setting? I mean, with everybody coming in and going out, how did you do that?
I essentially shut myself in my bedroom, and kind of only came out, to get food or whatever I needed. But I was essentially in my bedroom, had my computer, had my books, and my TV. But yeah, it was 3 to 5 days that I took for learning. I spent probably too much time Googling, my diagnosis and treatments and what did it mean, and how the future impacts. Because that was one thing, given that I was still in the midst of my infertility journey, one thing that really troubled me is, how is this going to impact my continued ability to have children?
Children, right. Yes, I know that. And what actually started you out on the infertility journey? Were you finding it difficult actually to get pregnant? Was the infertility as a result of, what was it? What were you told was the cause over that duration?
Yeah, crazy enough, there was no true diagnosis to my infertility. It was unexplained infertility. But what drove me to it was I continued to have miscarriages, and just this roller coaster of ups and downs. And, of course, the ultimate outcome was my son and having my son. But the outcome that I didn't expect was finding myself through all of this, and the healing and the places that it led me to be where I'm at today. I mean, the healing work that I did through my journey and being able to speak about my journey was what led me to, you know, craft the chapter in the book, Silent Grief, Healing and Hope.
I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that because that is something that really arrested, you know, grabbed my attention. That finding your true self. So we'll come to that. But I wanted to actually find out, you know, for those that are watching now, find out, okay, infertility, just to let them know. Definitely, we now know from you that it wasn't as a result of any cancer treatment, but that
No.
you had already been battling this before, or let me not say battling, but
Yeah.
struggling to get have a baby before your diagnosis came about. So, what kind of treatments were you, what should I say, opened to when you were trying to get pregnant? Because infertility for cancer patients, there are a lot of cancer patients and survivors, male and female. I know a couple of men too who have become, who are unable to have kids, you understand, as a result of that. So in your case, what kind of, what should I say, options were open to you when you were trying to get pregnant? What was the process
Yeah.
to give one hope?
Yeah. I mean, there is hope. And I was open-minded. I looked at it open-mindedly when I went to my infertility specialist. You know, is this something where I need to look at a surrogate? Is this something where I need to look at adoption? Is this something where, you know, what are all of my possible options?
Mhm.
I asked probably a zillion questions. And I think, you know, we can't hesitate on asking questions. There is no dumb question, especially when it's in regards to your health and your longevity. And so, you know, be open-minded to any and all possible avenues when you're looking at treatments, infertility or cancer. But what I ended up doing was a combination of treatments that actually led me to the success of having my son.
Wow, that's fantastic. So there is hope. So in fact, what you're trying to say is not a one size fits all kind of thing. There's
Absolutely.
different types of options that people have to, you know, go through and choose before going through that. That's good. But good news is you have a fantastic and beautiful son. And what do they say? It's the end result that matters most. The journey you forget, but it's the end result that
It
matters.
was all worth it. It was all worth it.
All worth it. So you had pointed out about, you know, you really have done considerably well in trying to, what should I say, take your life back. Let's put it that way. And what advice would you now give to someone who is watching us now, who is facing a one-on-one with that viewer, who is facing infertility now? What would you tell that person, male or female?
You
What
know,
advice?
yeah, I think number one, I think is make sure that you have a support system, whether that's family, friends, some online group, one-on-one with a counselor, whatever it might be, because you're not alone in this journey.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are others, there's 1 in 8 couples have fertility issues. So don't isolate yourself. Don't feel like you're alone. Don't feel like there's nobody who understands. Isolating yourself just is going to weigh, you know, on your mental health, which adds stress to your body, which is counterintuitive to being your healthiest self, right? So that is my number one thing, is reach out, you know, to whoever you feel comfortable speaking with, and don't feel alone.
That's awesome. Yes. There was my last guest actually was what should I say, a couples advisor. And one thing that she advised as well was that be a part of support groups.
Mm-hmm.
Support groups are not even family, not even friends, because your family and friends don't really know. They're already biased because they're part of you. But it is necessary to, you know, go into support groups online, go to support groups, one-on-one meetings and all that, where you'll find, role models, where you'll also find people that are going through the same um, issues that you're going through. And that community, it's like an esprit de corps. There you find you understand, your hope. So I do extract that from you, that support groups actually make a whole lot of difference when going through the issues. I'm a cancer survivor, I know. Online groups, nothing like it,
And
but
it's so accessible nowadays that there's really
yes,
excuse. I mean, they're everywhere now, right?
everywhere, everywhere. So there's no reason why we should dwell in our, should I say, sadness and confusion and anxiety, when I can just be in front with you now and say, hey, Cathy, did you feel what I felt? This is what I felt. Did you have the same experience that I had as well? So that community gives ground. And honestly, people who are part of support groups, their longevity is, skyrockets. People live longer.
Yeah, mental health is so much a piece of it, right? And that's what a big piece of what I advocate is. Yes, my doctors were wonderful. They got me through cancer. They got me the end result of having my baby. But nowhere along the line were they asking, how are you doing? And I think
Very few, very few, because sadly to say, we're numbers. They're dealing with so many people.
yeah.
They're dealing with, we're just charts and numbers and names, and maybe not, they wouldn't even remember names. So it's up to you to carve out your own way of your own mental resilience, coping mechanisms, let me put it that way, to be able to get yourself out of it. That's awesome. So before your I'm sure while going through all this, you must have said, oh my goodness, I wish I knew about this at the time. I mean, down your journey now, when you probably read up something or you meet people and all that, and we come across and we hear and we read different types of information and news and all that. Name one or two things that you feel that would have helped you on your journey if you had known about them before.
Yeah, I think the two that stand out is number one, I was not paying any attention to what I was doing to my health and my body. I was, all the toxins I was putting in my body, I was completely disregarding it. I was just consuming whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, just completely oblivious to how toxic my lifestyle was and not being intentional with my health. So I wish that I had known that before. And of course, we live and we learn, right? And I wish I didn't have to learn kind of the hard way, but now I realize how bad I was being to myself without even thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think the second one that sticks out is I was just kind of unconsciously moving through life, right? I was not being intentional with what I was doing, where I wanted to go. I was just kind of numb going through the motions. And when I'm sure when you go through something as life altering as cancer, it truly opens your eyes and you look at things with different perspective. And now, I'm very intentional of how we spend our days and what we do and how we do it. Where before it was just kind of a to-do list of life, just running through things, not even thinking twice about them. I wasn't an active participant in my own life.
Sure. That is, you've said it all, and you said something back there you wish you didn't have to go through this to be able to find yourself? I would say, I wish I did have to go through this to find myself. There's nothing bad about it. I think sometimes divine intervention, or, you know, some spiritual thing kind of brings us back to default settings to be
Yeah.
able to now move forward intentionally as we have done, you understand, and finding meaning in everything that we do, and looking at things completely different from the way others you know, view them. So it's a good thing. I mean, nobody wishes to go through infertility for a while. Nobody wishes to go through cancer or whatever chronic disease is life altering, but sometimes things happen for a very good reason. And when you look back, you say, oh, okay, thank God it's happened. So this is where it was taking me to.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I completely agree. I don't wish the pain and the hurt and the health issues on anyone.
yes.
It definitely propelled me to a place in my life that I don't know I would have been otherwise, or it would have taken me much longer to get,
Mm-hmm.
and it would have taken me much longer to come back to, as you said, like, who am I authentically, and
True.
how I want to live, and what is it I want to show my son, my legacy of what truly living is. And it brought me to being this mom that I don't know that I would have been otherwise, right? This ability to be authentic and vulnerable and not kind of put on this facade and numbness that everything is okay is showing my son a whole different world.
True. And that's amazing. Yeah. And he's the better for it,
He
because
is.
he is the better for it. Yeah. So the one that captivates me is what you really are now, how you've been able to transition from, you know, patient to survivor to thriver. And you have stepped into your higher self, as you say. You have written chapters. You're an author now. You have explained that you have been called to do so many things. Tell us now how your journey into wellness, into advocacy came about.
Yeah, when I was initially diagnosed with cancer and I started doing the research and digging into understanding kind of all of the impacts of why me? Why did I get this? You know, nobody in my family has this. What did I do? What did I not do? Is there something somebody didn't tell me? All the questions. And I started digging in and understanding, you know, living healthy is not just what you eat. Living healthy is the things that you expose yourself to, the toxins in your environment, the mental health, the stress. And when I started looking at it holistically and overhauling my life, it became just so clear that what I was doing and to myself and my environment was just absolutely toxic, and I had to clean it up. And so I overhauled everything. I overhauled what I eat, how we move, our habits, where we live. We moved households, we moved states. And, you know, I realized that that's not easy for everybody to do, just kind of flip a switch, or so it seems. But that was years in the making. I mean, people have asked me, you know, oh, you're here now, you don't understand. Well, what they don't understand is that it took years of trial and roller coasters and ups and downs and trying different things to get to where I am at today. But I think the biggest, most challenging piece of where I'm at today was allowing myself permission to feel and heal and utilize this story to help others. Because to me, it's relatively simplistic to change what's in your refrigerator, but to change your mindset and heal through that is so much more challenging.
Absolutely, it is. And like you said, switching lifestyles. because it's a lifestyle switch.
Yes.
Um, Something you've been used to almost all your life, and then all of a sudden you have to change based on, I mean, should we say based on necessity? Yeah, because now you have kind of realized that you were doing damage to yourself and your loved ones. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, and so it is necessary to actually change those bits and pieces in those departments, not 100%, but those things that would really drive you towards the life, like you said, your true self, your authentic self, your much more healthy self, to give you more longevity as one goes forward. And you have your reason. Your reason is your son, and that propels one, to move forward, to want the best for that child, to for that child to also see what his parent is doing, and children watch, children copy,
Absolutely.
and so that would kind of also mold him for his own life, and that is a very, very good thing as well.
And that's
Yes.
exactly what I said when I was finally blessed with my son, was
Mhm.
that I was going to do everything that I could do to be the best version of me, to show up for him.
Mhm.
He deserved that. He blessed me with being a mom. And so I owe it to him to
That's
be
beautiful.
the best mom that I could be.
Yes.
And I can't do that if I'm, you know, hurting my body, or not being healthy, or not exhibiting these habits and ways of living that get you to that best self.
Very true. You're absolutely right. So now what I wanted to find out was, when you were going through this transition, as we have just said, they definitely were not seamless. The transitions were not
Ooh,
seamless. I mean, you had to struggle, right?
I
What
did.
did what kind of obstacles did you face when you were trying to move from one, should we say, state to another? State of mind, state of the body, everything. What would you say?
It was getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. It was getting comfortable with saying, this change is good, so I'm going to go through the uncomfortable process of changing it. I'm going to go through the inner work. I'm going to sit down and allow myself to feel all the emotions that I've compartmentalized for all these years and pushed to the back of my mind and said, no, 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 it's fine. You have to work through those, and you have to go through the healing process, because you can eat all the healthy foods you want, but if you don't deal with that hurt in your head, it will forever plague your lifestyle.
Wow, that's heavy. In the
True.
same vein, yes, it is, because it kind of took me back
Mm,
somewhere. We have been through this, and one day my story is coming out. One day.
you have to share, yes.
Yes. Um, well, in the same vein, what would you say um, makes you like, aside your son, we know that he is um, the reason for your being, but what, give me one motivational quote that makes you, or something that makes you jump up in the morning and say, hey, we got this going. Um, the devil had better get out of my way. What is it?
It's actually a quote by Emma Watson, and
The
it's saying there's
actress?
nothing wrong. Yes,
Yeah, I
yes,
love her. Yes.
yes. She was quoted as saying, there's nothing wrong with being afraid.
Hmm.
It's not the absence of fear, it's overcoming it. And sometimes you just have to blast through it and have faith that what's on the other side is worth it.
Absolutely.
Every step along my journey, I would be lying if I said I wasn't afraid.
Hmm.
I'd be lying if I said, writing and publishing my very personal story to the world wasn't terrifying. But it also helped me heal. It took 1,000 pounds off my shoulders. I no longer had to hide or pretend this didn't happen. Being able to say, this happened, this doesn't define me, and I am going to move forward in the best way I can because I want to continue to do my work and shift lives, was what propelled me through it.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Now, if you could walk down this path again, would you? Would you change anything? You know, we were talking about this 5 minutes ago. But looking back now, would you change anything, or would you still go through this journey as is?
You know, would I change some of the means of how I got here? Sure, it would have been incredible not to have to go through all those surgeries and treatments and all the medications and injections and it, of course. But I wouldn't be the person I am today if I didn't. And so to me, it's a double-edged sword, right? We had to learn the hard way. I learned the hard way. I don't wish people to find their true being and purpose
Through pain.
Through pain and
But
hospital.
but that's life. Most of the best things that have happened in people's lives have arrived through pain.
Isn't that crazy?
It's
Because I think the
crazy.
people that have been pained look through different eyes.
Yes.
Yeah. I wouldn't change it. You know, I wouldn't be this person. I wouldn't be in this space. I wouldn't be the mom that I am if I hadn't gone through it.
That's awesome. So, but how do you feel now? Is everything okay? Do you have to go for follow-up visits? Do you have to, I mean, what is your, should I say, aftercare? Because I know this
Yes.
happened in like 2008, and that's a long while ago. But
Yes.
do you still go for your, you know, follow-up visits? Do you make sure everything's in tip-top shape and all that? Because we're dealing with cancer here. So we have to be very, very careful and stay on top of our game. So what's your aftercare process?
Yeah, because my entire thyroid was removed, I am on medication the rest of my life. So I see my endocrinologist every 3 months. And then in addition to that, I go for a once a year scan just to make sure there's no growths or tumors or anything like that. So I'm continuously on top of my aftercare and monitoring it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Cathy. Now, how can our viewers connect with you?
Sure. So my website is wellnesswarriorcoaching.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram under Wellness Warrior Coaching.
Okay, and I'm going to be putting your information on my page, on my YouTube channel, also in the comment section, and my Facebook. So by the time your video is out and everything, I'm going to be putting it out there, and people will be able to connect with you as well.
Thank you.
Right? I'm
Thank you.
really, really happy you came on and shared your story. It's difficult, yes, but our motivation is that we don't want anybody to walk alone. So that is the reason for our being and for what we are and what we do. So I wish you all the best and continued good health. You look amazing.
Thank
And
you.
God bless you and your son. And we'll be seeing each other once again. Let me sign out before I finally sign you out. All right?
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share.
My pleasure. So, my dear audience and friends, you have heard from the amazing Cathy McKinnon, who has shared her story and has given us hope that nothing is impossible. It's all right to be afraid, but we have to push through that fear. Whatever we're going through, not just cancer, whatever issues we're dealing with at the moment. So, take a cue from that and plow through whatever obstacles that you're facing now, and be sure that you'll be on the other side. All right. So this is your host, Grace B. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And See you in the next episode. Thank you for watching. God bless.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you, Cathy. God bless you. Bye.